Good evening, good night, wherever you're watching from. Good morning, good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, July 15th, and thank you for joining me live here on the 5th. Hope everyone has had a tremendous day. Hope everyone has had a beautiful day. And tonight, we're going to get into a conversation about quality versus quantity. All right, so tonight's show is entitled The Quantity Trap, Settling for More Instead of Better. Settling for more instead of better. It is so easy, so easy to see things and want to have things at your fingertips, right? So you want quantity. Sometimes you're not worried about what this thing is going to do for you. You're not worried about the purpose of whatever it is that you need. Sometimes people always like to say the more you have, the better it is. All right. So we're going to be talking about the quantity trap. Having more of something, is it really better for you? Having more of something, does it really bring value to what you're doing? Whatever it is that you want more of, how much is it effective for what you need to get done, for your purpose? All right, what you want and how you get it, is it driven by your purpose for something that you need, or are you just settling because you want to have it? I gotta have it, you want to have it. All right, so let's talk about what is quantity versus quality. How do we define it? All right. So if you think about something that has quantity, you're talking about numbers. You're talking about many. You're talking about more. You're talking about having an abundance of whatever it is. I won't say necessarily, excuse me, at your fingertips, but I'm just saying you have a lot of whatever it is. Okay. And then when we talk about quality, we talk about the value of something. All right. We're looking at the effectiveness of whatever that thing is that we want to attain or we want to keep. All right. So which is more important to you? Like what do you value? Do you value quantity, having an extensive amount of anything? Or do you value quality? Is it effective? Does it hold value? All right. This can relate to anything. This can relate to the way that you personally live your life. All right. This can relate to your profession. This can create to a hobby that you have. This can create to um, whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's exercising. Okay. Especially if you're exercising, and some people go in the gym and they're like, I'm just going to do a bunch of reps. You're not being mindful of how heavy the weights are or how light the weights are. All you know is that you want to reach a certain number. All right. Sometimes I know, like, if I go to the gym, I have a number in my head that I want to get to. I have a number in my head that I'm going to get to. And it could be 8 reps in a set. It could be 10 reps in a set. But me being focused on that number, is it really working the muscle that I am intending for the exercise to do? All right. If I'm doing sit-ups and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do 3 sets in a cycle. All right. And every time I do a set, I'm only focused on doing like 6. Okay. I can tell you right now, 6 is not a number for me to get the quality of me doing the sit-ups. It would just be me saying that I exercised, I did sit-ups, I did crunches, I did squats. It's just saying that I did something. All right. When you talk about having personal relationships, friendships, whatever it may be. Okay. Do you find that it's more important for you to have quality friends, or do you want to have quantity? Is it more important for you to have friends that bring value and meaning to your life? Or is it more important for you to just say, I have a bunch of friends? All right. One of the biggest things about this is just social media. You know what I'm saying? They're like people on social media that have millions of followers. All right. But that's quantity, because I could be wrong, but I would suppose that the millions of people that is on your social media, you probably don't know half of them. You might know at least 100 to 200 of them, but they're still not quality friendships. It's a quantity. All right. In this world that we live in, if you're a person that's like a digital streamer, okay, or you're a digital content creator, okay, you want to have quantity of followers, but you not necessarily want quality. You don't care who's following you. All you know is you're trying to get that number up, because if the numbers go up, then you put yourself in a position to make some money. You know what I'm saying? You can make some money from the amount of viewers that you have. More people are watching your content. Then people businesses start wanting to advertise on your page, because they realize that a lot of people are watching. Okay. A lot of times, people get into relationships and they're not quality relationships. Okay. I'm not saying it's a quantity of a huge amount. It's just one. But at the end of the day, some people just don't want to be alone. Some people just don't want to be, give or take, out of the loop. You got a man, you got a girl, you got a man, whatever, and I want to be in the number. So instead of me putting myself in a position where I find someone that brings value to my life, I'm just with somebody because I'm not worried about the quality of the relationship. I'm not worried about the quality of the friendship. All I know is you got a bunch of friends, I got to have a bunch of friends. Quality. All right. You got a man, I got to have a man. Quantity. You have a girlfriend, I don't want to be left out, so I'm just going to be with the first thing walking by. Quantity. All right. But this relationship goes on, and then you realize that, one, you don't really have anything in common with this person. There's no value. There's no quality. Okay. You don't like the same things. You don't necessarily even like going the same places. You don't even have things that you can talk about. Okay. That's not a relationship that brings value. It's not a quality relationship. It's quantity. Okay. So even when you talk about having a profession, I know this is a big thing for people. Yes. Yes. We all need the value of $1 for us to sustain life, for us to sustain our livelihood. Okay, we need a roof over our head. We need transportation to get to where we need to. We need food to eat. We need clothes to wear. We need shoes to wear. Okay, so having a good, substantial job is important. But so many times people get jobs for the quantity of the pay, how much you're going to get paid, versus, is it your passion? Is it something that you really like doing? Okay. And then you find yourself being in a place where you don't like where you're going. All right. You always know when I talk about these shows, I have a story that I can tell you. So when I was younger, I'm like 21, 22. Back in the days, I have a job. Roughly I'm getting ready to make, I don't know, I'll say between $40,000 to $50,000. I'm 21. Okay, I'm working for this company. I enjoyed going to the job. Okay. It brought me quality. Okay. It was a qualitative job for me. All right. I worked in a labor office. People came in to go to work. I sent them out to different companies. They came back at the end of the day. I paid them. Okay. That was quality for me. All right. Because these were people that, despite their livelihood, despite what have been through in their lives, they were still trying to have jobs to make a dollar. Granted, some of them just needed $1 to have some spirits. Granted, some of them just needed $1 for them to engage in extracurricular activities. That's not my business. This is the way that they live. That's not my purpose. I wasn't on that job to try to change their lives. These were people that were waking up every day, coming to earn $1. I had a job I had to do, and my job was to place people at different job sites. And that's what I did. Okay. I met some interesting people. I had interesting conversations. I was respected and I respected them despite whatever it was. Okay. So that job for me was quality. All right. But at some point, it got to a place where it no longer soothed me waking up every morning. Okay. Because the lady that was over me, my boss, saw me as a quantity, as a part of this job, and I wasn't being valued for what I brought to it. Okay. I was in a position where the company wanted me to expose myself for my feminine attributes to bring them business. Okay. I'm not a prostitute, to put it plainly. Yes, I wasn't on a corner. I wasn't being, passed out to anybody else, but I was encouraged to go out, dress nice, wear heels, look appealing to the places where I was going so that men would flock to me. So in a sense, it was I don't know if they call it a legal form of prostitution, but hell, that's what it looked like to me. And that's what it felt like. And I no longer enjoyed going to that job. So eventually I left it because it was now interrupting the quality of my life. Did I make good money? Of course I was, at the age that I was. But it wasn't a job that was quality, anything that brought quality or value. It wasn't effective for me anymore. I woke up every morning with a headache. Once I left the job, the headache was gone. I woke up every morning with a headache. When I left the job, my headache was gone. All right. So I knew that it no longer brought any quality of life to myself. Okay. So sometimes even the things that you need, you have to kind of, what's the word that I'm looking for? You have to test it out in a sense. You have to evaluate it to see if this is something that brings any value to you. Just because you're making money, it doesn't mean that's what it is. So in my case, what was more important to me was the quality of the job and not the quantity. Okay. I couldn't be worried about the money I was making. I had to be worried about my livelihood, being able to wake up every morning and go to a place that I loved going to without having a headache. All right. So at that point, you got to know, you have to know if what you're getting involved in, if you value effectiveness or if you value numbers. Okay. I hate to be like this, but there's so many people, and particularly women, that have kids, not necessarily because I want to have a bunch of kids, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it always looks good when it's tax season. You have to take care of these kids all year long when it's not tax season. And that tax money don't last that long. You understand what I'm saying? So those kids have a value because they are walking, talking, breathing people that's alive. But they're not being appreciated for the real value that they bring to life. They're not appreciated for the love that they can bring into a house. They're not appreciated for the excitement that they can bring into a house. They're not appreciated as people that you can watch grow up and become contributing citizens to the world that we live in, and make, life, or make the world a better place for themselves and everybody else around it, and raise beautiful families and live a good life. They're not valued for that. They're valued for the almighty dollar, for the quantity of what that dollar can bring. All right. So even though there is something that you have, you still need to be mindful of, are you valuing the things that are in your possession? Do you value them? Do you value the effectiveness of it? Do you value the purpose of it? Or is it just something for you to have in numbers? I've had it, I throw it away. I have it, I throw it away, because you can get so much of it. All right. There's pros and there's cons to quantity. There's pros and there's cons to quality. All right. They function as a trade-off. Okay. Sometimes something that you have of good quality, you try to get so much of it that it loses its value. It's like, for instance, we buy houses and we buy cars. They look good on the lot. They're of good quality. Okay. We like the space in the house. We like the size of the bedrooms. We like the way that the kitchen looks. We like the way that the living room and the kitchen or whatever is separated. Okay. It is going to be valuable to us, even though we're kicking out a whole bunch of money for a house. It's going to be valuable to you in the long run. Okay. So even though it has good qualities, in the meantime, it is taking a lot of what you have earned, a lot of money that you have saved or you've put aside to buy a house. So there's a trade-off. Okay. I got to lose the quantity of what I've earned to raise the quality of a house that I want to buy. Okay. So quality and quantity can be a trade-off. I was hoping that, Jonathan, I was speaking to earlier today, we were talking about quantity and quality, and I was hoping he would be on here so we could have this conversation about, he gave a good example, right? You were talking about people buying toilet paper. Okay. You want to buy a name brand toilet paper versus a toilet paper that's not name brand. All right. You want to buy toilet paper that's 2-ply versus toilet paper that's 1-ply. Okay. When you look at the plies of the toilet paper, you're not talking about the substance of it. All right. You're looking at the substance, the quality of the toilet paper or the quantity of the toilet paper. Okay. I'm going to buy a name brand toilet paper that is 2-ply that says I get however many amount of sheets. Okay. And I'm using it and I'm using it and I'm using it. And even if it's 2-ply, I find that I am using it so much because I think I have it in a large quantity that it gets done in no time because I have more. I bought like 8 rolls or 12 rolls. So I'm not being conscious of how much toilet paper I use once I go to the bathroom. Okay. Now I have the toilet paper that's 1-ply that I know if I use it in excess, it's going to be done quickly. Okay. The crazy thing about it is that the toilet paper that I bought that I feel is better quality, I abuse it. Versus the toilet paper that I bought that I feel is of less value, I am mindful of how I treat it because I know it's going to be done sooner. Okay. If you follow me, this analogy very much relates to the kind of people that you allow to come into your life. It can very much relate to the way that, I don't know, you yourself may treat people. Okay. You may have a person in your life that always comes around. They're always around. If you call, if you call them, they show up. If you want to go somewhere, they show up. If you need them for something, they show up. Okay? But yet, you're not valuing the friendship or the relationship that you have with that person. Okay? Versus you have a person that lives out of town, and you know you're probably only going to see them once every 6 months, once a year, once every 2 years. Okay? So when they come around, you're trying to spend so much quality time with them. You're giving them your all. Okay? You're probably going to even take a day off of work to make sure that you can hang out with them, because in a sense they're scarce. All right? So you got to be mindful of how people present themselves to you. Okay? Sometimes on the surface, people can make it seem like they have so much to give. Okay? I got this to give to you. I can buy you a house. I can buy you a car. I can take you here. I can take you there. But as time goes on, you realize they have no substance. Okay? They lack respect for themselves, so they lack respect for you. Okay? You're just a thing to them because you make them feel like they are so important. Okay? Whereas the people that are there, that is giving you quality relationships, you take it for granted. Okay? Because it doesn't serve your purpose. All right? Some of those people that you talk about, people call them narcissists. Okay? It's neither here nor there. If you've ever been entangled with a narcissist, you are very much aware of how that feels for you to constantly be something that's in high demand only to be abused. Okay? Your kindness is taken for granted. The love that you give is taken for granted. Your presence is taken for granted, because at the end of the day, you are just a quantity to someone, whereas to them, you have seen them as being something qualitative to your life. Okay? So be mindful. All right? I know it's hard when you're in certain situations. You constantly want to give people chances. You ignore a lot of red flags. Okay? You ignore a lot of dishonest or unfair ways that people treat you, because you keep wanting to think that there's better qualities that I see in you. All right? There's better qualities that I see in somebody. So I keep wanting to give them more and give them more in hopes that it'll give it back to you. You know, but at the end of the day, you've expanded so much of yourself that by the time you realize how much you've given, okay, and it's not that you did it to get anything in return, but it gets to a certain point where you become a quantity and not a quality, okay, that it gets to be tiring, all right, and you find yourself looking for something in return, and that in itself is more stressful because you're outside of yourself being a person that you're not. Okay, so value, just because you value effectiveness, all right, over the quantity, and other people don't, that's okay. You be yourself. If you're a person that values yourself and values your time, you're going to value other people. You're going to value their time. You're going to value what they bring to you. You're going to value their opinions. You're going to value their thoughts. You're going to value the conversations. You're going to value being in their presence with them. All right? So it's just quantity versus quality. You get to decide which one is more important to you. Okay? When you have quality, a quality of an item versus quality relationships, these items or relationships, they meet the demands to have a lasting impact. Okay? Now, when you have something that is of quality to you, it is meeting a certain need for an extended amount of time. Okay? Even sometimes things that are of good quality will lose their value. Like I said earlier, your house and your car. The minute you drive that car off the lot, it loses the value of what you paid for it. But it's still going to serve the purpose for an extended amount of time if it is taken care of. Even if it has lost value driving off the lot, you are still going to take care of because it is a quality item, all right, that you have. Okay? Things of quality, they're costly. They're costly. Okay? They cost something. You have to give something give something to get something. That's the trade-off. Okay? We all go to work every day. All right? What's the cost? What's the trade-off for that? If you're not a morning person, you got to wake up early to get to work. All right? That's just it. Okay? If you're a person that says that you like being in a relationship, there is a cost to be in a relationship because you have to give of yourself. All right? One of the best qualities of being in a true and honest relationship is being selfless. That is of value. There's no price to that. That's priceless. Okay? But there are so many people that are selfless and give of themselves to people that only want quantity and not quality. Okay? You're looking for a means to an end. All right? You might not be able to sustain productivity when you're just looking for quantity. All right? If you think about it, a lot of times when relationships are unbalanced, it could possibly be because one person's looking at quality, one person's looking at quantity, and the value doesn't match. So that relationship is not going to last. That relationship is not going to work because there's two different things. Hey, what's up, Tori? Hey, what's up, Tori? Thanks for joining. Hey, you're never late. You're never late. You're always on time. That's all. You are never late. You are always on time. So thank you for joining, Tori. I see you. Okay? When you think about different relationships, like I was saying, all right, if there's a person that's only wants to take and there is a person that is always giving, it's going to be unbalanced. It's not a fair trade-off. All right? So you're giving so much of your time, and all this time you don't even realize. You got to look at this because they could be two different perspectives. Okay? You can be involved in a relationship where the trade-offs are not the same, and you can say, I have lost time. I have lost time. So now I'm going into something else because you're talking about something that is external. Okay? Follow me. And I know this is not everybody's mindset. And it wasn't my mindset. It was something I had to learn that got me to the place that I am. Okay? When you're in a relationship with somebody, it's taking, and you're giving, that trade-off of quality and quantity is not the same. Because two people are coming to a relationship with totally different intentions. Okay? But you have to have a different kind of mindset to see the benefits of this trade-off. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, Tori, we are givers. Okay, we are givers. But the thing about it is, a taker can always spot a giver. A lot of you not. I raise my hand like Scouts honor. Been there, done that. A taker will always spot a giver, and they're going to take, and they're going to take, and they're going to take. But here's why I want you to have that mindset shift. Okay? When you realize you're done being taken advantage of, okay? Or in my situation, I was constantly going to be a giver. Okay? I was constantly going to be a giver, and this person knew that. But once the relationship was over, I had a mindset shift. Once I was able to embrace what I went through, once I was able to feel my feels, like I like to say, and go through the different steps of what it feels like to have been taken advantage of. Once I was able to go through those motions and I felt myself in a place where I was healing, my mindset was, even though it was unequal with the quality and the quantity, me giving quality and him just taking and being a person of quantity, when I shift my mindset, I found that all those experiences that I've been through, that I went through, was actually beneficial to me progressing. Okay? So if I want to look at it, I can dwell on the quantity that he took away from me, or I can dwell on the quality of the experience that I gained. I can dwell on the quality of what I learned through the experience. Because the thing about it is, there's nothing more that I can do about that person that takes and takes and takes. What I have to say to myself is, what is the valuable lesson that I learned? That is the quality of what I've been through. Okay. What I went through, how is it going to effectively help me change my life, effectively help me in future relationships that I get into? Okay. So this is just a mindset shift. As I said, quality and quantity is a trade-off. But when you get into a position, whether it's your job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, you still have the power to decide how you keep your value. Okay? How effective is this going to be for me? All right. So like I said, givers are going to give, takers are going to take. And I'm not saying if you're a giver, put yourself in a position to constantly be taken advantage of. I'm just saying if you're a giver, understand from a person that's a giver that there's going to be a trade-off all the way through. Because you're not giving to get anything in return. The only time you find out that you are not valued is when you're in a position where you've been hurt. Okay? But you know what I always say? If you're afraid to get hurt, you're going to lose out on a whole lot of experiences that life has to offer. Okay? Depending on who you are, depending on your value, depending on your values, depending on your morals, depending on your outlook of life, that is going to determine if you are a person of a quality aspect or if you're a person that has a quantity aspect. Your perspective, it's all based on your life experiences. Okay? I can't sit here and ask somebody to understand the value of finding a quality person, all right, when all their life they've been taken advantage of. Okay? If they've been abused, if they've been molested, if they've been taken advantage emotionally, financially, it is hard to tell a person to find a quality of life when they get into a certain place. Okay? It's no judgment. All right? Depending on your perspective, depending on your life experiences, it's going to shape if you're a person that values quantity or if you're a person that values quantity. All right? If you're a showboat and you want people to think that you live a certain type of lifestyle, more than likely you're going to be a person of quality, because it's not about what you have, it's about how much of it I have. All right? I buy a watch, it's worth $50, $60. You buy a watch, it's worth $300, $400. Okay? But my watch and your watch tells the same time. My watch and your watch ticks the same way. Nowadays, if you have a smartwatch, my watch and your watch charges at the same way, same pace. I mean, I'm just saying. Okay? No disrespect to it. You know, these things cost money. But I'm just saying, it's just a matter of quality or quantity, your perspective. How do you want people to see you? All right? And that also plays a big part into it also. How you want people to view you, how you want people to see you, determines also if you're a person that's searching for quality, if you're a person that's searching for quantity. Okay? Because like I said earlier, if you weren't on here, a lot of times you can jump into a job just for the sake of, I gotta make X amount of dollars. It's not that we all need money. but you need to have X amount of dollars because there's a certain lifestyle that you want to live, not because the lifestyle is something you need. It's a lifestyle you want to live because you want to keep up with everybody else around you. Okay, so quality and quantity is all determined by you. It's your perspective. How does it add value to your life? Okay, what do you need to sustain your life? What do you need in your house? What do you need for your car? What do you need to keep clothes on your back? You know, what do you need to keep communication, lines of communication open with other people? It's all about quantity and it's all about quality, but it's your perspective. Okay, at the end of the day, you decide how much of something you need compared to the value of something that adds purpose to your life. Okay, I'm going to say that again. At the end of the day, you decide how much of something you need versus the value that that thing will add to your life. All right, we're now sitting here witnessing people in the entertainment business that portrays a certain quality of life, but in the process of quality, there were a large number of people that were involved in this situation. Some people were hurt. Some people were abused. Some people were taken for granted. Some people went in because they wanted to be successful in an industry where somebody only saw them as a number. Okay, so you got to be careful the things that you're chasing in life. You have to be careful what you chase. Okay, sometimes you see what looks good. We've all heard this. What looks good ain't always good. All right, you have to be able to have valuable and meaningful conversations. Get to know the people that you're going to have yourself around. Matter of fact, get to know the people that you're going to be entrusted to have your children around if you have kids. You understand what I'm saying? When you have parents and they get older, you know, and you get into a place where somebody needs to take care of them, all right? Yes, it's very expensive if you're in a place where you decide you're going to put your parent or whoever in an assisted living environment, and then you're going to say, this is what my money can buy. All right, you're looking at the quality of what something is, the quantity, excuse me, of what something is, but it doesn't mean it has quality. It doesn't mean that your loved one is going to be taken care of, okay, to the extent that they need to be taken care of. All right, there's a certain hospital around here that people say do not take your family members to because they don't take care of them. They do not give them quality care. Okay, over and over and over, people go to this hospital and bad things happen to them. Okay, I don't know how they're still standing, but I do know how they're still standing. Okay, because they view the people that need them as not being people of quality. We are constantly bringing people of in quantity because this is all they can afford. They don't care about the service that we're giving them. All they care about is being healthy. All they care about is getting medicine that they need. Okay, so it's very important to pay attention to quantity versus quality. It's a trade-off. Sometimes you got to come out of your pocket. Yeah. That place is still like that, Tori. Ain't nothing changed, and it's sad. You know, I just had a co-worker of mine that went through there for a very minor surgery, or let's just say it was a minor checkup for what it was, and ended up having to have emergency surgery and was in that hospital for 2 weeks later, in pain, trying to get well. You understand what I'm saying? But nothing against her. You know, this is where you live. It's a hospital. People are going to go, but bad things happen. You know, so I mean, you can't judge people always for what they do. The only thing you can do is educate people. Okay, people laugh at me, all right, because I'm a person that enjoys my life. Okay, people laugh at me because I won't even say people, like some of my family members, because I don't I'm not saying I'm fiscally irresponsible. I'm just saying I understand that I have one life to live. So I live my life, but I've gotten better about getting the things that I need and not just getting things that I want. All right. I'm a sneakerhead. If you know me, I'm a sneakerhead. My closet has 1,000,005 different pairs of shoes in it. Okay. Sneakers, shoes, no matter what it is, I just love shoes. I love watches. I like things. But I'm going to tell you something about me. And as much as I have these shoes and I have things, I know this about me. I appreciate the quality of people's lives. Okay. And I'm not saying this to brag and I'm not saying this to boast. Okay. I own a lot of things, but I am also that person that have walked into stores or traveled alongside of the road or pulled up at a rest stop or pulled up at a gas station and somebody, I lie to you not, and I know that I do this, somebody will look at me and be like, I like your shoes. And I'll be like, bet, what's your size? And if it is my size, I'll offer the shoes to them. And if they want it, they take it. Okay. I've been to the gym. I had on a certain type of shirt. I went to a pharmacy after. The girl was like, oh, I like what your shirt says. I didn't remember what it was because this was like 2-3 years ago. She's like, I like that shirt. I'm like, you want it? She's like, you really give me this shirt? I had a tank top on under it. So I took the shirt off and give it to her. I'm like, it's sweaty. I just got from the gym, but just wash it as yours. So although I obtain a lot of things, I don't have no problem giving it out. It doesn't matter to me if you have money or you don't have money. If my heart tells me that I'm going to give you something right then and there, it does not matter to me. And I do it all the time. Not to brag, not to boast. It's just something that I do because I love people and I understand how, like they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I'm not just giving them trash and I'm not just giving them something because I don't want it. Okay. I just appreciate people. And I know that I got it because it may have been something that I wanted. And if you see it and you like it and you want it, then who am I not to give it to you? I pass my want to your want. Each one, teach one, reach one. That's just the way I see it. Okay. Because I'm in a position where that for me is quantity because I bought it, because I like it. It wasn't really something of quality. Am I going to walk and be like, you like my watch? Have it? No, because this is how I connect. When I'm at work and I'm teaching, I don't have my phone on me, but I have my watch. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if I had 2 or 3 pairs, ain't no problem. I will give it away. Okay. So there's just quality versus quantity. What brings value to your life? How do you see things? Okay. So I know y'all just got here, but as I wrap this up, okay, here's what I want you to remember. We only have one life to live. So be sure that you live your life well. Okay. Love yourself, put value on yourself, find the quality in yourself, and find the value and the quality in other people. Okay. People are not at everybody's disposal in a negative sense. Okay. I'm talking about in a negative sense because when I'm at work, when I'm at school, when I'm at home, I am at the disposal of my students. Whatever it is that they need from me for them to be successful, however many times, the quality or quantity they need me in, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. But as an adult, I have the responsibility to understand that I have to live my life well with quality because I know there are little eyes that are always watching me. So I'm not only teaching academics, I'm teaching them what it looks like to live a life of quality, to live a life of respect. So one of the biggest things is also treat people with respect that exudes quality and don't settle for being in the presence of people or in spaces that are only concerned with the quantity of your presence. Okay? I jot some of this stuff down because I want to get across to you exactly what I mean. Okay? Treat people with respect that exudes quality. You give off the respect that exudes quality, and hopefully in return, you're going to get it back. But don't you dare settle for being around people or being in spaces that are only concerned with the quantity of your presence. That means do not allow people to invite you into their space, not because of how they can also bring something to you, but it's only because of what you bring to them. Okay? So at the end of the day, they don't really appreciate the quality of what you're bringing. They just want you around. How much can I have you around because it makes me look better? Okay? Been there, done that. Been there, done that. Have you around because it makes me look better. And then when I no longer feel that you are valuable to me, then I'm just going to discard of you. Okay? All right, that takes a lot. You got to realize about being around people that's like that. I could preach this because I've been there. I could preach this because I understand it. I could preach this because I understand what it takes to have been in a position where people use you, misuse your love, abuse your presence, and then discard of you, and they still feel like they did something of quality. Because it's a mindset. It's two different mindsets. All right. No shade. I'm not hating. You do you, boo. All right. But know that those people are not for you. They only want to showcase themselves. All right. It is only for their benefit. Find somebody that respects you. Be around people that love you. Be around people that appreciate the quality and the value of who you are just as much as you do. All right. I'm not saying life is perfect. I'm not saying life is always going to be a bed of roses. What I'm saying is that as human beings, follow me, we have choices that we can make. And a lot of times the choices that we make could come after making a big mistake. All right. If it's not a mistake that puts you in danger, life goes on. If it's a mistake that puts you in danger, hopefully you can overcome it, get over that hump, and put yourself back into a space that you are safe and you can take care of yourself. Okay? But keep people around you. Okay? Put yourself in the presence of people that understand the value of you that is not monetary. All right? Because we all know what the saying goes, money don't buy love. I don't care what anybody says. Money will not buy you love. That money can buy you a big house. Guess what? Ain't no love in the house. You're not going to appreciate that house. All right? That money could buy you a nice car. You don't appreciate that car because when you leave and go where you need to go and come back, you see coming back to somewhere that is empty and has no love. That car could care less about if you love it or not. Okay? So be mindful. Don't sell yourself short. Okay? Don't diminish your value for the sake of wanting to keep somebody around you. Okay? That's my show tonight. My show today, we were talking about the quantity trap. The quantity trap. Okay? Settling for more instead of better. More is not always better. Sometimes less is best. All right? God bless y'all. My future is forward. Your future is forward. And I want you to live a life full of quality as you move forward in the life you were given. I love y'all. Have a good night. Take care of yourself.